Hi, and welcome to Stephen Helwig Talks Tech. Today I'm going to be walking you through how to spice up your web conference presence using OBS Studio. If there's one thing that most of us have been doing over the last 9 months is sitting in front of our computer screens and watching other people who are sitting in front of their computer screens. I think we all have, virtual meeting fatigue, but one way you can add a little bit of flair to your presence is by using OBS Studio to add some overlays and some information that you're trying to convey to the other party. One of the things that I've been doing is a little nameplate that has my name, my location, my job title. Sometimes I'll have a little running ticker, almost like a stock ticker at the bottom, that'll convey some information like my LinkedIn profile, my email address, my YouTube page, things that I want to communicate out to the other people that are on the call with me. In addition, OBS is one of the main softwares streamers use for doing game streaming. I've tested it out recently in streaming from my Xbox Series S to Facebook using OBS, and I also use it to record all of my YouTube videos. So today I'll give you a tour of OBS. I'll walk you through the main features of OBS. I'll show you how to set up some scenes and transition between scenes, as well as how to integrate it with Microsoft Teams and Zoom. Before I get started walking you through OBS Studio, I wanted to show you where to find it and how to download it. So if you go into your favorite search engine and just type in OBS Studio, you can click on this first link here. You can also click on this one down here, but this first link will take you to the homepage for OBS, and you can take a look around and check out some of the features. But at the very top, you'll be able to click on Windows, Mac OS 10.13 Plus, and Linux. So the great thing about OBS is it supports many operating systems. These are the 3 predominant operating systems. There's a high probability that one of these will cover you. And so if you click on your distribution, it'll get started with a download. And from there, just click through the installation. The base installation is absolutely fine. So before I give you a tour of OBS, I'm going to just talk very quickly about the hardware I'm using. I have my full setup here to do the recording, but what I'm actually doing is piping the video feed from Surface Laptop 3 into my recording setup. So what you'll see me do is working on my laptop here, and you'll see what I'm doing in OBS with the laptop. The laptop has a built-in webcam, and I've also attached a Logitech external camera. So you'll see me be able to use the built-in camera, use an external camera, and then create various scenes that way. Okay, let's switch over and look at OBS. All right, so you can see here, this is what OBS Studio looks like when you start it up. I am here on my laptop, and I want to go over the key areas down at the bottom first that you're going to make yourself familiar with. On the right side, the first main area are scenes, and scenes are various setups that you want to use. So this is the default scene that comes in here, and I'm going to rename this real quickly to, this is going to be camera only, okay? And we're not going to do anything with that, but the first area is scenes. The second area are sources. Sources are part of scenes. So in this camera only scene, I can add sources like my display capture if I wanted to share my screen. I can add an external camera or a built-in camera. I could add graphics and other types of sources. Audio mixer, in here you're going to see the audio inputs that are coming in from your various sources. So for instance, if I'm bringing in a webcam, that webcam might have a microphone, and so that's an audio feed. Or my computer might have a microphone, that's also an audio feed. Or I might be hooking in an external mic. The next area are scene transitions. And this is when you're moving between scenes, what do you want it to do? So in this case, there is fade, there's cut, there's some others here, swipe, slide, stinger, fade to color, luma wipe, right? So other types of scene transitions, and then how long do you want the transition to take? So the default is fade and for it to take 300 milliseconds. And then on the far right side are your various controls. If you want to stream, there's a button to start streaming. I use the start recording button quite often. We'll talk about virtual camera. That's the tool you're going to use to input the output of OBS into your conferencing software like Microsoft Teams. Studio mode is something you can use for transitioning between scenes, and then of course there's settings and a way to exit. So those are the main areas where you're going to work at the bottom. Some other key things are profiles. If you wanted to create multiple profiles here, I have a couple different profiles on this laptop, but there are, on my other computer, I only have one profile, so I don't use profiles quite a lot. But scene collections is an area that I do use heavily, right? So you see I've created a scene collection called Talks Tech. When you switch between scene collections, you'll see that there are multiple different scenes that have already been created in various scene collections, right? So you can have different scene collections based on what you're doing. Maybe you have a work one, maybe you have one for video recording, maybe you have one for streaming. I use scene collections for all of those scenarios. And then the other area is over under File are settings. And settings are where you set up how you want OBS to look, right? I haven't changed much in the general area, but an area where you'll spend some time is in output. So what do you want the output of your stream to be, or your recording to be? There's also audio settings, which can be adjusted based on if maybe you're bringing in an external microphone and you wanted to play around with it. Certainly video settings. Here I actually have the old version of virtual camera turned on, which I think is preventing me from changing that. So let me adjust that very quickly. I'm going to stop this. This was the old version prior to it being built into OBS. Back to settings here. And you can see under video, what is my base canvas resolution? So that black part you see behind, what is that resolution of that canvas? Generally, I'm using 1920 by 1080 because that's the size of my external monitors. You may have a different size external monitor. And then this is important as well. Something I didn't realize early on is I had a base canvas resolution of 1920 by 1080, but I was outputting at a lower resolution. And that meant my video feed was coming out choppier and more pixelated rather than what I actually was seeing in OBS. And then here you're setting some filters around downscaling. I leave it at bicubic. And what are the frames per second, the common frames per second for your video, which I leave at 60. There are some hotkeys as well. So you see I have hotkeys for starting, stopping, recording, and then doing transitions, but there are lots of various hotkeys that you can add. So if you are doing recordings, you can use these hotkeys to quickly do things in OBS without having to look and click. So that's another feature. And then under advanced, there are some features around rendering. In here, I'm using the built-in renderer to this laptop, but on my gaming PC, I can actually use the graphics card to do some rendering. Okay, so those are your common settings for OBS. Next, I'm going to take you into creating a scene, adding sources to that scene, and then adding multiple scenes. So we're back here in OBS, and now we're going to get started configuring our scene, right? So I've created this camera only scene. I just renamed it. And now the first thing I want to do is add some sources to that scene. I'm going to go here into sources and click this plus button. And in this case, the first thing I want to do is add a video capture device. So a camera, right? And I'm going to name this webcam. And we're going to click OK. And then we can select from various webcams. So you'll see I have a couple in here, but I'm going to select the Surface Camera Front. So that's the camera on my laptop here. Not a very flattering angle, as you can see, but it is a built-in camera for this device. And then I can select the resolution for the camera. In this case, I'm going to say default. And then I can say if I wanted to capture audio, I can say use custom audio device. And in this case, I'm going to use the microphone array. So this only has one microphone, so I don't have very many options. But if I was to plug in an external microphone, like I use, you can see here the external microphone that I use to do my YouTube recordings, I would select that microphone here. So I can select OK. And then I can drag this to fill the canvas. So this is my first scene. It's a camera only scene. If I'm in my meetings and I want to use my camera, this is the scene I would use. I probably would prop my laptop up, maybe give it a better angle, but it works for a scene. So now I want to create a new scene for my Logitech webcam. So I'm going to go here and click new and say Logitech scene. And I'm going to add another video capture device and call it Logitech webcam. And here it's pulling in my HD Pro webcam C920. So you see that camera's over on this side here, and I'm pulling that in. I can, again, I could do a custom resolution here. I can say I want this to be specifically 1920 by 1080 if I would like. And then I can do the same thing around the audio device. I'm going to have it use the microphone from the camera in this case, right? So I'm doing something a little different here. Don't have to do this, but just wanted to show you how that's an option. And you see it's automatically scaled out because I've given it that option. So it's using my Logitech camera over on my other monitor here. So now I have two scenes. I have this one and that one. I could transition between them in a web meeting, right? So say I was talking to a customer, I wanted to have this, and then maybe I wanted to go to this side and then address, I could switch between scenes. Okay, now that I have the various cameras added, what I want to add next is a display capture. Now this is going to get a little weird because I only have one display, so it's going to look pretty psychedelic, but I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to add another scene here, and I'm going to call this monitor scene, and we are going to add a display capture, which is up here, and I'm going to say primary screen. All right, so this is the screen on my laptop. I have no other external monitors attached. And so that's the only one, and I'm going to say okay. Now this looks really weird because I'm capturing the screen inside the screen, so it's a little bit, you know, of a mind melt. But that's it. That's the screen capture. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to put my picture in the screen, like a picture-in-picture. So I want to have my screen, and then I also want to have my picture in the corner, right? So I'm going to create a new scene here, and I'm going to call this monitor, and I'm going to call this screen bottom right. Oh, actually I want to have this monitor, and I want this Logitech camera, Logitech bottom right. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some scenes I've already created. So I'm going to go in here and say add scene. And we're going to do the Logitech scene. And we're going to take this and drag it down to the bottom here. And we're going to add another scene of our monitor. So we'll go to scene again. There's our monitor scene. And you see, oh, the camera went away. Well, that's because the order that you have the scenes will denote which one is on top and which one is on bottom. So in this case, the monitor scene is on top, so it's over my camera scene. So I can just click on this here, and I can move it down. And there's my picture. So now you can see my picture's in the bottom right. I can scale this down maybe a little bit more. And it's it has my monitor behind it. And you can see that's the kind of thing that I'm doing here in this video, that you'll see that I'm in the top right in this case, but you're looking at my OBS output here from my other computer. So the next thing I want to show you is how to add text or graphic overlays to your camera feed to add some of that presence in the virtual meetings. So I have created a few different cameras here. I've created one that involves my monitor. Now I'm going to add a new scene. I'm going to use the Logitech camera in this case and say Logitech name. Okay. And for this first one, I'm just going to use simple text. So we'll go in, and first thing we'll do is we'll add our scene, right, of our Logitech camera. So we'll bring that in and see that has come in there. And now we're going to add just text. It's a simple text. And we're going to just call this name. Okay. And so you can adjust your font if you wish, and you can just type in some information. You can type in anything into that box, obviously, but I'm going to use name here. And there are lots of other settings which I won't go into. So we'll click OK, and now we can start dragging this around. So I'm going to resize this a little bit here, make it not so big, and then I'll just put it right here on this side. And so very simple. Now at least I have my name. I could go back in here and say, well, let me just maybe add a title to it. So I'm going to come into this and say Director Cloud Architecture. All right, so now it's a little bit longer, and I can pull it up here again, maybe make it a little bit smaller. Cool. Okay, so we've added some name information. When this comes through, whether it's in a video recording or via Teams or Zoom or whatever, this is what it's going to look like to whoever you're presenting to. They're not just going to see your video coming through; they're going to see your video with a title. Now, let's say I wanted to do it with a graphic that I've created. A little behind the scenes secret here on Stephen Helwig Talks Tech is my graphics are all done in PowerPoint. PowerPoint is extremely versatile in doing graphics and creating the things I need for my videos, and even for any of the things that I've used in my web conferencing, they're all done in PowerPoint. So that is a fun little secret here. I don't have very good graphical skills, so PowerPoint works for me. So I'm going to do one called Logitech Nameplate. And once again, bringing in a camera feed via a scene. And I'm going to use Logitech scene here. And I'm going to add an image. And we'll call this my nameplate. And this one I created has the YouTube info on it. So it's called Stephen Helwig Talks Tech. It has a little bar. And this is just a PNG. And I'm going to go ahead and downsize that a little bit, right? Scale it down, maybe not that small. Okay, I'm gonna put it right here at the bottom, right? And there you go, that's it again. You know, when I click off, you'll see that's what it will look like to anybody who is seeing my video feed output, whether it's through the recording or into any of the web conference tools. So that's really it. I mean, it's very simple, as you can see, to get set up with OBS. Create a couple scenes, add maybe your monitor with a little video on top, add a video feed with a nameplate, something to make you stand out in a meeting. I'm going to come back now and show you how to bring that camera feed into your conference calls. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to bring in the feed from OBS into Microsoft Teams. So let me set up the scene here for you, so what you're looking at. Over here, you're going to see my laptop feed right there, right? That's my laptop feed. That's coming in from my laptop computer into my desktop, and that's how I'm recording it. Down here, you're seeing my desktop feed. So I've created a Teams meeting. I've invited myself. I'm connected in here from my laptop, and I'm also connected in from my desktop. So you're seeing two ends of a Teams meeting here, right? And I'm going to turn on my video and present from the laptop. So I'm not going to add any video here from the desktop coming in. So I'm going to present from the laptop. The first thing that I'm going to do, firstly, I have to launch OBS. If you want to use OBS, it has to be on. And the next thing I need to do is come down here, and you see where it says Start Virtual Camera. What that is going to do is it's going to take the feeds coming into OBS and the scenes that you've created and output them as a virtual camera. It's going to look to Microsoft Teams as a camera. So I'm going to turn that on, say Start Virtual Camera, and I will minimize this. And now I'm in my Teams meeting, and I've gone into my device settings. So you go in here, I'll say hi device settings just so I can show you, and I'm going to select my device settings. And so here are my speaker. This is the microphone I might want to use for the meeting. And down here in camera is where I will select what I'm going to pull in from OBS. So when I go in here, you're going to see a bunch of things that I've added in the past. Ignore those. What you want to go down to is OBS virtual camera. And that will pull in your feed from OBS. So you're seeing now that my feed is coming into my desktop from my laptop. So if I was to close this, and it's not showing it down here for some reason, but that is my camera feed now coming into my desktop. So the folks that I'm on this conference call with, they're now seeing that feed. Now I'm going to go back into OBS and make a slight adjustment here. I might have this too low. Let's move this up, and you can see, like, as I'm adjusting this in OBS, my desktop is seeing the changes. Now, say I wanted to change to this nameplate. It's now coming in to OBS that way. So you'll see some adjustments here. I think maybe this little overlay here is pushing down that video feed, making things appear at the bottom. So you may want to adjust and play around, test it out a little bit. But now as I change my scenes, the folks on my call are seeing those different scenes, right? Okay, and it's really that simple. So if you are doing this in any software, whether it's in Teams or Zoom or others, you're going to look for that specific camera, right? You have to make sure you turn on virtual cam. That is step one. And then when you go into your settings, look for OBS virtual camera, and that will start pulling your feed into your virtual conferencing software. Thanks for joining me again here on Stephen Helwig Talks Tech. I hope this video was informative and it'll help you add some presence to your virtual conference meetings. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, please put them in the comments below. If you have any other video ideas you'd like for me to do or any questions specific to OBS, I'd love to hear about them. As always, I'd appreciate a like, a subscribe, a share with your friends. Thanks again. Bye.